more time.
Only the one, bro.
Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and welcome to another live edition of the State of the Saints podcast right here on YouTube. And thank you for spending your night, your Saturday night, with yours truly. And tonight on the State of the Saints podcast, or today, or afternoon, whenever you're watching this, we're going to be talking about Drew Brees. We're going to be talking about Drew Brees, man. A lot has happened over the last 72 hours. Of course, we know about Drew Brees' interview that he did with Yahoo Finance, and we all know about the backlash that he had to deal with. We're going to be talking about some of the things that happened after the interview, and of course, some of his teammates had something to say, and also Drew Brees' I guess you can call it road to redemption, or the road to forgiveness. We're going to be talking tonight, and the question is very, very simple. Have you forgiven Drew Brees? There's a lot of people out there that say that they may never forgive Drew Brees for what he said. Some people are kind of on the fence about it. Depends on what he does. So I would love to hear from you tonight. We're going to be taking calls a little bit later in the show. I want to get your opinion on Drew Brees and do you forgive him? But of course, if you want to donate to the State of the Saints podcast, you can do so by hitting the dollar sign below the chat for super chats. And also, man, if you want to just donate in other ways, you can do so on Facebook or any other outlet that we have. But we're gonna go ahead and start up with Drew Brees. Of course, Drew Brees had an interview with Yahoo Finance, and he had some comments about the flag, and he said that he can never agree with anybody that disrespect the flag, and what the flag meant to him, what it meant to him, and him thinking about his grandfather and all kind of other things. And a lot of people looked at that as being selfish. Drew Brees was being selfish a little bit because they felt, this wasn't the time for you to tell people how you feel, because there's a lot of people out there that are hurting right now, and it was in bad taste. And of course, you had teammates coming at Drew Brees, people like Malcolm Jenkins and Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas and even Cam Jordan. These guys were going at Drew Brees, and Drew Brees had to not retire, but he had to apologize. Excuse me, he had to apologize to his teammates. They had a virtual call, and all his teammates were on the call, and he talked and he asked his teammates to forgive him. And from what I see, it looks like the teammates have forgiven him for what he did, but they're still holding him accountable, and they want him to do things within his community. So I think Shaquille O'Neal was on the call. Shaquille O'Neal gave his account. Of course, Sean Payton asked Shaquille O'Neal to not go too in depth with the conversation, but he said it was a long back and forth between Drew Brees and newly acquired New Orleans Saint Malcolm Jenkins. So Malcolm Jenkins had a conversation with Drew Brees, and it looks like everybody is trying to start the healing process, because Drew Brees hurt a lot of people. Not gonna lie about that. Drew Brees hurt a lot of people with his comments. It was very, I don't know, man. We're just in bad taste, and it was bad timing. And I believe Drew Brees is going to do the right thing. I mean, Drew Brees, it seems like he's trying to take a step forward. He's even had some comments to the president of the United States, who was critical of Drew Brees for saying that he apologized. He said that Drew Brees shouldn't have apologized. And of course, President Trump tried to talk about the flag, but Drew Brees, he came back and he fired back on President Donald Trump. And he talked about how Donald Trump shouldn't make it about the flag, because it's not about the flag. It's about, the injustices in the African American community. And he basically just told Donald Trump about it. So I've seen some people like Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. They were cheering Drew Brees. Saying that that was a good move by him. So it seems like his teammates are really in his corner. So uh, I don't know what to say more so than I'm just glad that these guys are trying to get it together, and I'm glad that they have enough leadership outside of Drew Brees to be able to keep the locker room intact. We seen Demario Davis. Demario Davis was on different news outlets talking about Drew Brees and talking about how the locker room is structured. So I'm glad to know that the Saints have leadership that can step in and be able to calm things down. People that's not named Drew Brees. But I'm gonna go ahead and go to the chat and see what you all got to say. Once again, we're gonna be taking phone calls. If you want to call in, give your take on Drew Brees. Do you forgive Drew Brees? Have you forgiven him? Or what does he have to do in order to get your forgiveness? Or maybe you fall into that category where you felt like he didn't need to apologize, and you feel like he needs he didn't need to say anything because you already forgiven him. So go ahead and let me know. Jared Poor says, "Hey TJ." Kirion says, "What's good with it?" Iceman T is in there. Tara, was that Shedrick Mosley? He says, "Who that to you, big dog?" Churro Perez says, "What up, TJ? Thanks for using your platform to serve as dialogue for us." Man, I got to, man. I definitely, I have to do that. Look, check this out. I know a lot of people try to shy away from situations like this. They don't really want to talk about the issues, but that's not how things get solved. Okay, I know a lot of people, they try to hide behind their platform. They feel like they built a brand to a point where they don't want to be controversial. They're afraid of numbers. They're afraid of people leaving their Facebook pages or their Twitter pages or their YouTube channels. Look, I don't care about any of that kind of stuff because first and foremost, man, when I get behind this mic and I get behind this camera, I speak from my heart. I speak from a place where it's all passion. I do this all the time. I know sometimes, y'all like, man, TJ, he might do a show, every day and I might miss one. Like yesterday, I didn't do a show. I didn't do a show yesterday because I knew I was I knew with confidence I wasn't going to give it my all. Every time I'm behind this video and behind this mic, I'm giving you all passion. And I feel like people that shy away from these issues because they're afraid of numbers, they're afraid of people, not having enough people to be monetized anymore. If you're into numbers, that's not me. I think we have to have dialogue. I may not agree with a lot of people's comments and what they say, but I do respect your right to say it. There's so many people that called the last time we did a live show. There were some people I didn't too particularly agree with. I didn't agree with their stance. I didn't agree with the way that they said or how they presented it. But I do respect their right to say it. And I do believe that this is the first step in order for us to grow as people. Whether you're black listening, looking at this show, whether you're white, Hispanic, Asian, wherever nationality you are, we can be on the same page. We can talk about these issues. And I hope that we're adult enough to actually be able to respect people's opinions about things, even if we don't agree with their ideology. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always going to talk about issues like this straight up. I'm not shying away from it. I've seen people, and I'm not going to call them out, but I'm very disappointed at some of the Saints Facebook pages and YouTube channels I've seen where people are running away from the issue and saying, I don't want to talk about that. It's borderline political. Well, what happens when politics actually comes into the sporting world? You have to talk about it. If you don't, you're a coward. Okay, you can hide behind the cloak of patriotism. You can hide behind the cloak of politics all you want to, but the world is going to pass you by. Okay, and honestly, man, who knows? A person may call and maybe speak to somebody who it has a different of opinion than them, and that might touch their heart, and it may make them look at themselves in the mirror and say something like, what do I have to do to change? What am I doing wrong? How can I help? And if my show can be a platform for that, then I feel like I've done my job. So that's the way I feel about that. We're gonna go ahead and stroll down. I know quite a few people have come in here and had comments. Um, let's see. Just ready to put all this behind us so we can put on our main on this upcoming season. Yeah, me too, man. And like I said, it's a good thing that you had leadership in the locker room, and also guys are willing to forgive Drew Brees. And luckily for Drew Brees, he has enough skins on the wall in order to gain that respect back. I talked a little bit about that, but the question of the night, like I said, have you forgiven Drew Brees for what he said? Uh, let's see. TJ, what did you think of Charles Barkley comments about Drew? Man, look, Charles Barkley. I mean, Charles Barkley always has a hot take on things. I feel like Charles Barkley just says things that are kind of controversial. Part of me feel like he just says that stuff just to be saying it, and but man, Charles Barkley. I mean, he has a right to say whatever he wants to say, but I mean, Charles Barkley, in my opinion, I mean, I feel like he just been so disassociated from actual issues for so long. I mean, he don't even I feel like some of these guys, I feel like we should, even though we should hold them accountable in ways, I think sometimes these guys forget who they are because they've been rich for so long, and it's almost like that old saying when O.J. Simpson said, "I'm not black, I'm O.J." Some people have been disassociated from the race for so long, and they get treated with so much respect. Like everywhere Charles Barkley goes, people probably call him Mr. Barkley or Sir or anything like that. And I think when people like live in that world so long, they forget about where they came from. They forget about the situations in which they came, and they feel like oh man, why people can't be like me? Why they can't make excuses? Well, everybody's not 6'8". Everybody not 260 pounds, and everybody is not an NBA Hall of Famer that's recognized everywhere that he goes. And I feel like when those guys talk like that, it just shows me like these guys have reached a level of privilege that they're comfortable with, but they also are looking up. I mean, I feel like this, okay? When you're climbing Mount Everest, and you know what I'm saying, like the higher you get, the smaller the world starts to get, as you go up. And I feel like that's the way that some of those athletes are. People like Charles Barkley, he's up here. He's been on that mountain for a long time. He's been on Kilimanjaro for so long, and he's looking down, and people are looking like ants to him. And but hey, man, at the same time, you got to remember who you are. You got to remember where you came from. So I don't too much agree with what he said, but I respect his right to say it. Let's see. Let's go back. Uh, I don't forgive Drew because to me he said nothing wrong in the first place. Well, I mean, you have a lot of people. 615 random goat. You got a lot of people that agree with you and share your point of view, man. And nothing wrong with that. If you feel like he didn't do nothing wrong in your eyes, that's fine. I mean, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to persuade you for feeling that way. And I'm not going to change your mind. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's something that all I can tell you is this, though. There's a lot of people hurting out here. There's a lot of people of color. There's a lot of, white people. There's a lot of Asian people. There's a lot of Hispanic people are hurting right now. And I think that we can get lost in the sauce if we're not careful. Like we have to make sure that we're actually focusing on a goal. There are people out here that are getting gunned down for no reason for the simple fact that they're black or they're Hispanic or what I'm saying, just the color of their skin. And it's unfortunate, man. And I understand what patriotism and American flag mean to some people, but the same people out there, you all need to understand what the American flag actually meant to people of color, people who didn't have the rights and the liberties. I mean, I think we look at the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I mean, in 1964, what that about 56 years ago. I mean, that's not a long time, man. I mean, I think it was signed, if I'm not mistaken, June of 1964. So my mom, what I'm saying, is a couple, is the same age as the Civil Rights Act. My mom is 56 years old. Sorry, mom, I'm putting you on the spot, letting everybody know how old you are. But I mean, the fact is, my mom's not that old, and Neither is this Civil Rights Act. And I think a lot of people need to understand that. And you have some people out there that say, what does this have to do with me? What does this have to do? Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like some of the things that you have are inherited, you know what I'm saying? The pain of the African American community, that's still inherited, man, because we still feel the effects of that to this day. I mean, you can talk about all of the opportunities that people have out here in this world, but the system has been rigged for a long time. When they signed the Declaration of Independence in 1776, African American black people were slaves. Those rules didn't apply to them. Jim Crow was designed to oppress African Americans. And once again, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was the first step forward, and that was 56 years ago. So we have to be very, very careful and understand that. And we can't say that we're just so far removed. And I can't just say because I love people and I don't see color that you don't understand the pain that people endure as black people. So I just want people to understand that. And I see people really trying to understand. I was actually going to this restaurant yesterday. Well, I went to this restaurant yesterday, and I was sitting around waiting for my food. I did an order, and I waited for the food. And in a corner of this restaurant, they had this black man, and he had his three white friends with him, and they were talking about these issues, man. And the black friend was really trying to explain to his three white friends about what was going on with police brutality and how did it make them feel. And they were very attentive and trying to be understanding and understand how he felt about the situation. And from that, I'm like, man, we're really taking steps forward, because once upon a time, people did not want to look in the mirror and say, what can I do? Or how can I change how I feel? So you can say, back to Drew Brees, you don't see anything wrong with that. But once again, all I ask is for you to respect the people that are hurting and try to understand them. And it's easy for us to dismiss these things because we feel like we don't fall into that category. But if you don't fall into that category, you can use your privilege to try to combat racism. You know what I'm saying? Like, to try to get people more involved and see people, see people pain and stuff like that, and try to help them out the best way that you can. Let's go down a little bit. All races being shot. Um, all races being shot. I don't know what that meant. Honestly, I can't buy the excuse, but Drew didn't know what he was saying. It's so what did it say? So cautious about his image. Maybe he speaks his heart the first time around. That is true, Iceman T. And I apologize, man, because I'm looking at the screen, and as y'all see, I don't have my glasses on. I don't know why I started the show without my glasses, but anyway, Iceman, look, I get it. I'm one of those people too. I feel like, would he have changed his mind? Whether would he have put out this post? Would he have went home and thought about it and made a post if everybody didn't, call him out? Probably not. I think we all can agree to that. I think he would not have said anything, if nobody would have, he would have got the backlash. So I think we all can say that. But look, if we keep on, looking at that and focusing on that, we'll never get anywhere. And we cannot change the world. I want people to understand this. If we cannot change the world if we feel like a person doesn't have the capability to change. Like, that's what I hate when people do this. When people do things and people call them out and they apologize and they say, I'm going to try to move forward. I'm going to try to take a step forward. Oh, man, I don't believe them, man. They fake. Give people an opportunity to change. Like, if you call a person out and they like, man, maybe I never looked at it like that. Give that person an opportunity to change. Like, we're so quick to tell people, I don't forgive them. Oh, man, they ain't never going to change. You know what I'm saying? A tiger doesn't change his stripes. Y'all heard all the cliches and sayings. You got to give people opportunity to change, man. I try to, use a lot of demonstrations and, analogies and stuff like that when I'm talking. It's kind of like being in a relationship. You know, when you're in a relationship, you might go through a hard time, or you might do something to break that other person's heart. You might break their heart, and you have to have a road to redemption of your own. You might say, you know, I understand that you probably don't believe me right now, but I hope that you actually see the change in me. Now imagine, just think about this. I know some of you are probably in relationships like this where you probably had to have forgiveness. What if that person would have said, nah, you ain't gonna change. You're gonna always be that same person that you always been. Probably wouldn't be in that relationship. And if that, you know, and then you'll feel like, man, why don't this person, you know, want to try with me? So let's give people opportunity, okay? If they continuously do these things, then you can chunk it up. But if a person, you call them out, they acknowledge it, they say they're gonna change, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, folks. That's all I'm saying. Just give them the benefit of the doubt. I understand that Drew Brees' comments hurt a lot of people, but let's if you let's give him opportunity to make up for it. And if he can't make up for it, and if he's not doing it in a way that you feel is suffice, then then say, okay, man, whatever with him. But let's at least give people opportunity to change. Can't wait till he retire. He he ain't been the same since 2012. I'm gonna be real. A lot of y'all just upset at Drew Brees because y'all just been kind of sour on him, and this was kind of like icing on the cake. I'm sorry, folks, but some of y'all, I've seen some of the comments. I've seen how some of you have been downgrading Drew Brees' arm strength and talking about him being selfish when it comes to the contracts. I feel like all of that is combined with his comments, and now you feel like you really can pull it on because now his comments give you justification. Just like the flag and George Floyd issue, we need to learn how to differentiate the two. Are you really upset at Drew Brees for these comments, or are you just upset at the fact that you have been disgusted with him and his diminished quarterback play, and now you're trying to combine this and nah, you can't do that, man. Some of you are doing that, and I don't feel like that's fair. If you really are upset with Drew Brees about his comments, cool. But don't be mad at Drew Brees because of what he did in a wild card game against the Vikings and take that and add that on to what's going on right now because, I mean, that ain't right. If you're mad at him, be mad at him. But don't try to just don't try to make it seem like you're upset at him about this when you're just mad and you want somebody else in his place because you feel like he's not the same quarterback anymore. TJ, do you feel like the chemistry in the locker room will take a hit, or do you believe because of the players, Drew Brees as a man will be able to bounce back as a team? Well, I feel like this, King Arthur. Man, hold on one second. There we go. Yes, sir. All right, now I got my glasses. Now I'll be able to see better. All right, King Arthur. King Arthur says, TJ, do you feel like the chemistry in the locker room will take a hit, or do you believe because of the team, Drew Brees as a man will be able to bounce back as a team? Look, check this out right here. They have a lot of good leadership in the locker room with the New Orleans Saints, and that was something that they were lacking back in the day. That was something that they were lacking as a team. Like back in the 2012, 2013s, they didn't have a lot of leadership inside of the locker room. When you have people like Demario Davis and now you have Malcolm Jenkins and you got Cameron Jordan, you got a solid group. And I guess you can go to Rod Armstead in there as well. You got a solid group of leaders. One thing that kind of helped the Saints, and I can't believe this, but it was actually when Drew Brees went down and Drew Brees wasn't around the team for 5 weeks. You had Demario Davis, who was the guy that was in a circle hyping the team up. And then as the season progressed, when Drew Brees came back, they both were in a circle motivating the team. So they have enough guys in the locker room that are not named Drew Brees that they can be able to weather the storm. And these are very high character guys on this team. I would be very concerned if they were a very high character team. But these guys want to win, and they want to win for each other, and they respect Drew Brees and they love Drew Brees. But at the same time, these guys want to be champions. These guys want to be winners. And it's not because Drew Brees is their quarterback. Do they want to win for Drew Brees? Yeah, I mean, we heard that for years, but these guys want to win for themselves too. A lot of these guys are talking about legacy. I mean, you got to look at somebody like Cam Jordan. I mean, Cam Jordan, I mean, he is starting to build a career that might land him in Canton one day. Now imagine what a Super Bowl would actually do for him. So you want guys like this in your locker room, guys that can rally around each other and play for each other. So I'm not really concerned about the chemistry. Now I would be lying if I was to tell you that Drew Brees' comments won't affect the team, but they will. You know, like there's always going to be like a small thought in the back of their minds, like, man, you know, why did he say something like that? So a little bit of the respect they may have for him may be gone, but I still think that they actually respect him as a football player, and they respect his work ethic and the way that he comes to work and the way that he competes week after week. So I think that his teammates are going to really try to do something and and try to help win as many games as possible. But I mean, it's going to affect the team in some ways. Let's see. He shouldn't have to change his personal opinion about kneeling during the flag in order to understand and support the black community. Um, I look. It's. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why we try to make this about the flag. I don't know. You know, I don't. It really don't have anything to do with the flag. Okay, it had nothing to do with it. Even Drew Brees, the comments that he wrote to President Donald Trump said that it's not about the flag. And the thing about it is the comments about the flag were just in bad taste and bad timing. Okay, so people were upset because they understood the power that Drew Brees has, the cachet that he has. And they were afraid that the narrative of the movement will change due to the person that is actually saying it. Drew Brees is a NFL ambassador, man. He's an icon. And him coming out here saying that, people are going to gravitate to his comments and they are going to put it at the front of the news line. So it wasn't about the flag. Nobody, like, honestly, if you still thinking about the flag and you think that this is about the flag, then I feel like, you're brainwashed. I mean, period. Like, if you still think that the way that the comments that Drew Brees said was about a flag, you're brainwashed. Because the only thing I can think of is people are telling you one thing and you not believing them. But I mean, I don't know. Like, it wasn't about the flag. It was just about the fact that he said what he said, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the flag. And he said it in a way that, a lot of people felt like he was being inconsiderate. You know what I'm saying? He was not being considerate. Well, excuse me, he wasn't being considerate of other people's feelings and the movement at the time. So that's just how I feel. Like, one didn't have absolutely nothing to do with the other. A lot of y'all are using his comments to take out the old frustrations on the dude. A very child. Yeah, that's true. King Arthur, that's the way I feel. A lot of people aren't really upset at him and his comments. They're just using this to justify him. And also, I feel like that's kind of cowardice as well, because you're saying that because if you would have said this before Drew Brees actually made the interview, you probably would have been afraid of the backlash that you would have got. So you feel like, oh man, I can say it now because people are really beating up on Drew Brees right now. And as my grandfather would say, you're just basically pouring water on a drowning man. So that's what you're doing. Like, have that same type of energy in a regular season if you feel a certain way. But a lot of you probably don't do that. I won't say a lot of you. Some of you won't do that because you're afraid of what Facebook will say about you, or Twitter. Or you think that the Drew Brees supporters are going to come out there and bury you. You can't be like that, man. Like, keep that same energy year round. And don't hide behind the comments that he made if you think that he needs to retire. If you don't want to see him as the quarterback anymore, if you soured on him, like say it. Say it with your chest. Don't wait till something like this happens and then say it. That's being a coward. Please share your weak comments on another channel. Well, look, like I said, man, people are going to disagree. Okay, people are going to disagree. Jamarcus, you my guy, man, but people are going to disagree with you, man. That's what makes us all different. People not agreeing with one another. You know what I'm saying, and trying to find a common goal. Okay, so man, I can't look at the chat and have conversations at the same time. I kind of turn my head to the camera and turn my head back to the chat. But the only thing I'm asking you all is to be respectful, man. Don't have any racist comments. I don't want to see any racist comments. You can have your stance on how you feel about it, but you can talk to each other in a positive way. Okay, this isn't one of them shows where people need to be going back and forth and calling people out and calling, what I'm saying, and using racist rhetoric. I appreciate if you don't do that on this channel. Okay, if you want to talk about how you feel about it and your difference of opinion than myself or someone else in the chat, that's fine. But please stop and do not put any racist rhetoric on here. We don't have no time for that, and we're only taking step back as people by doing stuff like that. So please don't do that. Said nothing to forgive, says Justin Wallace. ESPN showing opposing teams saying that they're going to go after Brees, almost promoted to bounty. Our team will retaliate. They try to hurt our quarterback. They might be mad, but they still pros. Check this out, man. That's something that's very concerning, and I'll go on record. If the Saints can protect Drew Brees this season, that offensive line needs to be offensive line of the year. And if they can cut down the sacks, then all I got to do is, man, to say that they got to be the best O-line, because Drew Brees is going to people are going to try to go at Drew Brees. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, teams are going to use this as bulletin board material, and when they play Drew Brees, they're going to try to take his head off. I mean, sorry, folks, but it's facts. Okay, a lot of people are upset with his comments, and some people aren't as easy to forgive as his teammates. Okay, it's not that easy for them. So they're going to try to come after Drew Brees. So the offensive line going to have to be on it. Okay, they're going to have to be on it. And if they can protect Drew Brees and keep him in the pocket this whole entire season, all I got to say to you is they need to be the offensive line of the year, straight up. Because you about to get everybody best game. The only thing he did was wrong was apologize. Tier 1 solutions. Drew did nothing wrong. Okay. Tier 1, that's your opinion. Nothing wrong with that. Never said I canceled Drew. You're assuming. Well, let's respect. Yeah, let's respect on this channel. We fam here. That's all I ask. You can say whatever you want, man. I reserve my forgiveness for now. Says Drew earned the trust back. Moving forward, I think we'll be good on the field. Hoping he can push the ball down the field. We have speed guys that won't drop the ball. Yeah, I agree with that. Race baiting is a real situation to deal with. Race baiting. Yeah, they got a lot of people out here who try to do that kind of stuff. Don't agree with it. A lot of people do that for their own personal gain. I'm not a fan of that. I feel like anybody that does stuff like that is like some of the worst people in the world. Bruh, you nailed it. If he makes it through the entire season, they deserve first team All Pro. They do. Hey TJ, I can watch for a change. Yeah, Robert. Dang, Robert, you never watched a live? I know for a fact Robert Cries watches live. I know he does. Shouts out to Robert, man. Robert always keeping me up to date. He's always sending me encouraging, spiritual stuff on it, and emails and stuff like that. So shouts out to Bobby Cries, man. He always looking out for me, man. Appreciate it. Drew comments were tone deaf, ignorant, and bad timing. He needs to take action and make it right. but I have no doubt he will do just that. I agree with that. Who that? I think that he will. I don't think that he erases, and I feel like people that saying that about him are ignorant. I just think that he's misinformed when it comes to certain things. And just like I said earlier about Charles Barkley, sometimes you can be in a situation so long, you can put yourself in a box or a bubble. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. The phone lines are available as well. People, if you want to call in, make a comment about Drew Brees, you can do so. Have no problem with that. I catch the replay. I catch the last night replay. Yeah, I appreciate that. 8 days away. TJ, have you noticed how much bias is being used in this chat? It's ridiculous. We're adults. We can exchange ideologies without disrespecting. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just kind of looking at it, but I can't see everything. And like I mean, I just feel like a lot. If you have to resort, excuse me, 228, you're on the state of the Saints. 228, you're on the state of the Saints. 504, you're on the state of the Saints. I guess I'm gonna have to fix it. I can't hear anybody. Nobody. It seems like I can't really hear anybody. So I I apologize because it looks like I'm having issues with that. 504, you're on the state of the Saints. Can you hear me? Well, I guess we can't take any calls tonight. It looks like I'm having some technical difficulties on that. I apologize. Don't know why I can't hear people. So, don't know why I can't hear people tonight, but I'm so sorry. I guess won't be able to take any calls. So, but I'll go ahead and just read the chat. I don't know why I can't take any calls. I guess I should have just tested it before I actually started. So I'm sorry for that, folks. Um, I most I get most of my Saints updates from you. I really appreciate what you're doing. I compare what you are doing to Buddy D. Nah, I'm not even. I am remotely on Buddy D's level, but I appreciate the love, man. I appreciate that exactly. The people that don't forgive him just don't want to. TJ, what do you think about Ty being put in the slot? I'm late to the chat, so I'm not sure if you covered that. Nah, um, I didn't cover that at all. I wouldn't be mad at that. You know, I wouldn't be mad if he was actually in there. You know, I think that he would be able to benefit and bring something to the table. I think that he would be really, you know, what I'm saying, really good. He can do like different things. He can even, catch out of the backfield. He can even run between the tackles. So I like him a lot. I think that he has something to bring to the table. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Like I said, I apologize, folks. Probably most likely won't be able to take calls because I'm having issues. I don't know if people can hear me and I can't hear them. But you know, I guess I'm gonna have to fix it next time we go live. I thought I had it fixed though, but I guess not. Uh, Worried about the team chemistry now. Plus, opposing teams now have a bounty on Drew's head and knees. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are concerned about that, but and we can't be, man. I mean, you have to go into the season. You got to be ready and willing and ready to rock and roll. So, man, that's what guys get paid for on the offensive line to protect Drew Brees. So, hopefully they can protect Drew Brees. Hopefully they can protect him to a point where he can be able to do some things. So, hopefully he can do that. But like I said, if they can protect Drew Brees, if they can protect Drew Brees, man, they need to be offensive line of the year, straight up. If you can't protect Drew Brees, if they can protect Drew Brees to that particular point, like they should be offensive line of the year. That's all I gotta say. Um, at least he'll run out of the pocket. Nah, I doubt that. Drew Brees ain't running for. I really do feel like Drew Brees holding the team back. If you insert a Mahomes and Jackson, Watson, Saints would have made at least one Super Bowl. And Saints should have made one Super Bowl before. 228, you on the state of the Saints?
Hey, TJ.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
TJ.
You can hear me? I guess I can hear him, but he can't hear me. We'll try to fix this. I'm gonna try to fix this. Try to see if I can. 228, call back. I'm gonna try to see if I actually, cause I can hear you. You just couldn't hear me. So I'm gonna try to fix that. Try to see if we can actually take some calls here. I think Michael Thomas will be the face of the team once Drew Brees retires. Yeah. 228, you on the state of the Saints? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, 228? Stay on the line if you can hear me, 228. I'm gonna try to see if I can fix this. I can hear you, but can you hear me? Trying to see now if I can actually fix this. I can hear the caller, but I guess the caller can't hear me. I don't know why. We're gonna try one more time. If the caller can't hear me, then hopefully he'll be able to hear me now. Can y'all hear me? Y'all can still hear me in the live, right? I hope so. But anyway, nah, fam. Let's see. I don't. The defense is good enough. I blame Sean and Drew. I love the interview of your, of your mom when she called. I listened to her comments a couple of times. Yeah, man, my mom, she real informative, man. My mom has done some really great things in her life, and she always has like a good perspective on life. 504, you on the state of the Saints?
Hey, what's going on, PJ?
All right.
This is boy King Arthur, bro.
Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, man, how you doing, King Arthur?
Cool, and big dog. I got one question.
Okay.
Do you really think Drew Brees can't throw down the field, or do you believe that it's our scheme with these short and intermediate routes that don't allow him to throw that far, or is not, set up for him to throw that far?
That's a good question, man. I mean, that is a really good question. The way that I feel about it is I don't think that he still has the same arm strength, King Arthur. And I think that the Saints offense is kind of compensating because of that. Because the way that the Saints played offensively years ago, when you had people like Robert Meacham and Devery Henderson, they were throwing the ball down the field. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like they kind of changed it up as Drew Brees got older. Because, or you have to look at it this way. Why do they put people like Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill in the game when they're trying to throw the ball down the field 40 and 50 yards? So that ought to tell you a little something with that too. So I think it has a lot to do with his diminished arm strength.
I can't say this, dude. I was looking at some of our highlights, and he did throw a few passes that was 30 yards downfield.
Right.
And it was on target.
Right. Well, but that's probably few and far in between, King Arthur. I think that I really feel like they just. It's kind of like when Teddy Bridgewater was in the game. The Saints didn't run that type of offense with Drew Brees. They compensated. They tried to make offensive game plan that suits Teddy Bridgewater. With combinations of running the football and also like some of those immediate routes as well. So they kind of changed it up. And then when Taysom Hill is in the game, you got a lot of RPO, and you also got some plays down the field. So I just think that because Drew Brees Arm strength isn't at what it once was, and you also got to know that with quarterbacks, they expect those quarterbacks to be able to throw those 30-yard passes down the field consistently. And I don't know if Drew Brees has that consistent arm strength. He probably can get it down there maybe once or twice a game, but if the game is really on the line and he has to really go out there and throw the ball all over the place, I really don't feel like he can just get it down the field consistently like that.
Okay, I
Yeah.
can agree with that. Do you feel like stepping into the pass have a lot to do with that in
Yeah,
terms of wearing you out?
yeah, of course. I mean, I don't know if you ever threw a javelin or anything like that, but if you, but if you're like running, you have to get a running start to get that, that long throw. That can be exhausting, man. And not to mention, if you already threw the ball or you went back to pass maybe like 15, 16 times before that, I mean, it can be very tiring. And I mean, honestly, you don't want your quarterback to be trying to throw the ball down the field with javelin throws consistently, man, because that's just not something that you want him to do. It's going to tire him out, and also it's going to make your offense look predictable as well when they see him going back for a 7-step drop or something like that. They know for a fact like he's probably going to run into his pass and probably give them opportunities to get where they need to be. So, and that's something that I noticed too,
Last
King
thing, bro,
Arthur.
and I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, do you think it's gonna make us predictable, dude? Like if he come out the game and you see James come in on a 3rd and 21, you
Well,
heard me? Like people gonna do what we about to do.
well, I mean, I wouldn't recommend him Jameis Winston coming to the game on a 3rd and 21. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that. But if it was 3rd and 21 and Jameis Winston in the game, I guess there is a level of predictability with that. But if you put Jameis Winston in a game on a 3rd and 5, it's not a guarantee he's gonna throw the ball down the field. It could be a possibility he can run, or what I'm saying, he can throw like a little short pass. So I mean, you got to know when to use it, man. I think the Saints do it pretty well when they use Taysom Hill in the game throwing the ball down the field. It's not really expected. Teams don't really know what he's going to do. They don't know if he's going to do RPO. They don't know if he's going to throw the ball down the field. So I think there's a good combination with that. But on 3rd and 21, you might as well just keep drawing the game because everybody know what he's going to do. Yeah,
I
man.
truly
But
appreciate you, bro.
all right, man.
I'm a big supporter of the show, man.
Yeah, thank you so
Keep doing
much.
what you're doing, bro. And don't let this recency bias speak like just change the narrative, man. People blowing this stuff out of proportion. Though what he said may have been hurtful, but I think people taking it a little bit too far.
Yeah, man. I mean, we all in this together, man. I think people just need to understand that, and I mean, I just hope that people can take these opportunities as learning experiences and not just look at things selfishly and be like, I feel this way, I feel like this. Like we have to love each other. We gotta appreciate each other's existence. But King Arthur, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Call anytime, man.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
All right. And that was King Arthur, man. King Arthur always has some great comments, always great questions. Shouts out to King Arthur. 601, you're on the State of the Saints.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
All right, TJ, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay, man. I mean, you talking about Drew Brees tonight, or you can ask any questions. You got any concerns about the Saints? Feel free, man.
All right. Well, this is my concern right here. I believe, and I mean, I heard you say this a couple of nights ago, and I'm 100% with you. We got to stay focused. I mean, this is, we're losing track of what's important, and the important thing that you talked about that I'm 100% for is we got to focus on police brutality.
Mm-hmm.
And the uproar, I feel like, man, this has split our house in two.
Right.
Brees is our guy.
Right.
And, the thing is, we heard Charles Barkley and Shaq talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're starting to hear more people come out. He got his spanking for the day.
Right.
And, it was just like the man didn't just like all of a sudden within 5 seconds, hey, I'm sorry. It's like Shaq said, he was mediating in that with Malcolm Jenkins. He spoke to his teammates. They sat him down, they talked, they discussed this.
Right.
And, I felt like his response to Trump was huge.
Right.
And, I don't think people need to be questioning somebody when they apologize. I think that's a very big thing that we don't really even see anybody do anymore.
Right.
Just, hey, I was wrong. To me,
Right.
that's a step forward.
Right.
And now, just like that, when good men sit down and have good dialogue and talk, wise wisdom will prevail. And that's what happened. And I feel like, now people are kind of going after, some of his team. Oh, well, now they were mad. Oh, now he's a quarterback. No, he was always their quarterback.
Right,
they were good. Brothers fight. And then they make up.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you're a family.
Yep.
I just feel like we have totally lost focus. This has turned into a Drew Brees thing.
Right.
And it's shifted to just nothing but Brees, just like we talked about the other night on the phone.
Yeah.
Everything is New Orleans. And I feel like they are just going to do everything they can to put a wedge in our locker room.
Yep.
And I will say this to ESPN. Y'all keep promoting all that. You keep putting it on the bulletin board. I promise you, I guarantee it. Let one person go after Breeze the wrong way, you'll see our entire sideline come off the field. They might be mad, and I'm sure they've gotten over it. And they've all came out and expressed their love for him because his eyes has been opened.
Right.
But I promise you, at the end of the day, they pros.
Yep.
And them receivers, you ain't going to mess with their money.
Right.
That guy right there, like Michael Irvin said, that's my money right there. So
right.
I just feel like you said this, I agree with you. We got to stay focused on what's important.
Yep.
And us turning this thing into a Breeze thing,
Yep.
look, as far as I'm concerned, I can't not forgive somebody that, we've all messed up.
Yep.
In the eyes of God. We have all come short.
Yep.
We've all asked forgiveness.
Right.
The man said, forgive me. His teammates are good with him. I'm good with him.
Yep.
Nobody needs to be questioning any kind of sincerity, hey, as far as I'm concerned, it's over. Yep. We got to be focusing on police brutality. That's what this whole thing is about. We're hearing more about Breeze than everything else. So that's just my thought on it. The chat line, look, I'm with you. Just everybody, look, it's all love.
Yep.
Who that?
Yep. Absolutely, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Man, that's some good points right there. Drew Brees said some messed up stuff. I think we all can agree to that. But, he owned up to it. And I just do not like when people always, got something to say after a person apologized. First, they want the person to apologize. And then when a person apologizes, they're like, oh, man, they ain't mean it. Like, what you wanted them to apologize for? People have a right to change. You can't open a person's eyes within 24 hours. It's very possible for an individual's eyes to be opened within a certain amount of time when they see the pain and the hurt and the frustration that they cause. And sometimes I just feel like sometimes we act as if we never made mistakes in our lives. And people like in the chat, the ones that may be, talking about hate, maybe hiding behind patriotism, want to bring up the Bible and all that kind of stuff. I said it on my Facebook page. Okay, since we talking about Christianity, since we talking about the Bible, faith, there's a word in the Bible, and it says, how can you say that you love God whom you never seen, and you hate your brother who you see every day? And that person said, you're a hypocrite, you're a lie, and the truth ain't in you. And the person that said that, Jesus Christ. So for all those people out there that can't respect a person's opinion, trying to make this situation about themselves, want to put all this negativity into the air, you cannot love God and hate your brother. So that's just a little something that Jesus said, okay? That is something that he said, okay? The person that the majority of us follow. So keep that in mind when you spread this rhetoric and talking about God and country. Straight up. Tim, thank you very much for the $5. He said, "Do you think that the NFL will finally give Cap a job this year if he wants it?" Well, it looks like that's the route that they're going. I seen Roger Goodell. He came out, he apologized and everything like that. He wants to, take steps forward. He said it in so many words, that he does apologize. So he didn't say Cap out, but he basically, in so many words, like was apologizing to y'all. I think that he does deserve the job. I think that he does deserve to get a second chance in the NFL because it wasn't like, you have murderers that came back to the NFL. You have people that were doing all kind of dirty, low down things. They're still back in the NFL. So why not allow Kaepernick, who didn't do anything wrong, since people say Drew didn't do anything wrong, I guess I have the right to say Kaepernick didn't do anything wrong except, exercise his right to protest. 228, you're on the State of the Saints.
Hey, TJ.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. This is Tier 1. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Tier 1, how you doing, man? Finally,
right,
good to get a voice, man, with the person that that comments all the time, man. Thank you so much, Tier 1. Go ahead, man. What you got?
It's good to talk to you. Listen, I still, to this day, want an explanation. I listened to Drew Brees' comments 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to know what he said that was so wrong in people's eyes. I don't get it. I really don't. And I'm being honest. I don't get it.
Well, I don't know if...
You tell me.
Okay, well, I don't know if about... I guess, like, they're looking at it like he brought up the whole situation about the flag, and it didn't have anything to do with the actual issues with it.
The interviewer asked him what he thought about it, what they thought about if they coming back with the kneeling thing. And that was his answer. And that's his opinion, and he's entitled to it without getting his life destroyed over it. It's not like he said anything bad about any race, group, religion, nothing.
Right.
He had 2 grandparents, like I did, that fought in World War II. Same as me. I know how much I appreciate their sacrifice. If, cause I'm into history too, and I see, and if you go and watch what those men went through, and the torment that they went through to beat back the Nazis, to beat back the Japanese, how hard it was for them to do what they did.
Right.
It means a lot to them, and it means a lot to Drew, and it means a lot to me.
Right.
So I still don't understand why that's offensive. Why is it so offensive to say, hey, I personally find that disrespectful for people to do any kind of protest during the national anthem? He's entitled to feel that way.
He's entitled.
He doesn't put anybody else down.
Well, Tier 1, I mean, he does have a right to say that, but just like how you have them, like I said before, you have a lot of pride in, the country and everything like that, and, your grandparents, stuff like that, fighting in a war. I mean, I've had family members that have been in the military too, man, and the experience is different. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of people, I guess when they're looking at Drew Brees, him saying that, I guess the words that he doesn't respect people, anybody that disrespects the American flag, which, like I said, like you said, he has a right to his opinion, but a person's military experience is completely different. Like your grandparents fought in the war, but they came back. They probably came back to a hero's welcome. African Americans that fought in the war, they came back. They didn't have the same rights and liberties, and that's a reminder. You know what I'm saying? That's a reminder to them. And like I said, man, like Tier 1, you have a right to your opinion. I'm not here to change your mind because you make some very interesting points on what you're saying. But I mean, I'm just looking at it like when people are reminded of situations like that, as a person of color, they're going to have a different account that their grandparents have told them about, or their great grandparents have told them about when it came to the war. And I think that's what people are being reminded of, and they felt like it was in bad taste. But I feel like there's nothing wrong with him feeling like, he want to stand for the flag. I guess they felt like the climate and everything that was going on, they felt like it was in bad taste. And also the people that was, probably thinking about, kneeling for a protest because of the injustice that we're facing in this country, it was like a slap in the face to them. But, I mean, he has a right to his opinion. But, his teammates told him how he felt, man. It was up to him to, do whatever he wanted to do afterwards, man. He listened to them. He apologized to his teammates, and like I said, man, people are never going to always agree with everything. We're going to have difference of opinions, and that's fine. But I think the problem is like when we start to go at each other's throats about our personal views and want people to feel how we feel so badly. But man, like I said, I respect what you're saying. I mean, you make a very interesting point, and I can understand that, man, because you say your grandparents fought in the military and fought in these wars, and you have a sense of pride in that, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, I thank you.
The whole point, Drew Brees is a very good person. He just got done donating $5 million worth of food to poor people in New Orleans.
Right.
Did he not?
Yeah, he did that.
So the guy made what is considered a mistake or a gaffe or an error in judgment, and we're going to destroy the guy and tear him to pieces over a mistake?
Right.
If you think it's a mistake?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. We have got to stop this thing where a good person makes one mistake and we try to ruin their life over it.
I agree.
I'm telling you now, if Drew Brees didn't apologize for that, he'd be done. He'd be done.
Yeah. I mean,
he
but...
had to apologize. It's not like he could have stood his ground. He had no choice in the matter. He really didn't. He would have been done in the league forever. For 20 years, he'd be done.
I just think that when you say, I think people were kind of like caught up in the words where like, I can't respect anybody that kneels for the national anthem. And you know what I'm saying? Like what people feel like the protest itself was about the racial injustice in this country. And a lot of people, that were kneeling were people of color, were black people. So, like, of course, all this stuff that's going on in the country right now, tier one, people are fed up, and they're trying to do everything that they possibly can to try to promote justice and bring acknowledgement to the social injustices of this country. So, what I'm saying? It might come to them taking a knee for a protest. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, that may felt like his comments hit close to home, and they felt like, that just wasn't right for him to say. Now, as far as what you're saying about Drew Brees donating money to Louisiana, I mean, he donated $5 million, to feed the people of Louisiana and stuff like that during COVID-19. That's a great cause. But at the same time, that still don't negate the fact of how he made a person feel. I don't know if you've seen my post, but I said this. I said, think about a person that's married to somebody, right? And this person buys this person a gift one day out of the week. We'll just say Friday. They buy him a gift every single Friday. But for the next 6 days, all they do is abuse that person mentally and physically. Is that person still a good person because they buy that person a gift?
Yeah, but TJ, that's not even comparable. The guy has spent his entire career in doing philanthropy for poor people and looking out for other people, and he makes one mistake. It's not like he said tons and tons of things that upset people. Name some other times Drew Brees said some really messed up stuff that hurt people's feelings. Name one other time.
Can't name another time that he did that. But
okay,
that's still.
So
but it, if okay, let me ask you this. Since you didn't like that analogy, check this out. If you've been married for 30 years and your wife cheats on you, does that make, what I'm saying, like, is that still a bad thing?
Yeah, but those two things aren't even
how?
comparable, man.
But how? I mean,
that upset people. He didn't.
That person did one thing, Tier One. That person did one thing that, I mean, look, the effects of what he said.
It's not comparable.
How?
It's not comparable.
How is it not comparable?
Okay, because marital infidelity is a betrayal of your marriage. He shared his opinion on protesting just during the national anthem. That was it.
So you don't think people felt betrayed by his comments?
No, and you know what? A lot of people of color, several people of color, Herschel Walker and others, Jim Brown and others, heroes. Jim Brown is a civil rights activist, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm not kneeling for the national anthem. I don't think that's right.
Right.
So did he betray the black community or people of color or anybody else? He shared his opinion. He said he doesn't think it's appropriate at that time. That's his personal feelings.
That's his personal feelings, but he still received backlash because of it.
Yeah.
Just like Drew Brees. So
it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's
That's
like
ridiculous.
we can tell one we can't change people's minds about how they feel about things, though, man. Like it just, I mean, look, you can say that it was just one time, but all it takes is for one time to hurt somebody's feelings, man, to break somebody's heart. You know, like I said, it.
Okay, but do you see the difference of what we're talking about here? You're talking about a guy who has poured out his heart and soul to that community, and he said something to hurt people's feelings, and now all of a sudden it's a big deal.
It is a big
He
deal.
said
Look,
something that
yeah.
hurt people's feelings.
It hurt.
People have got to quit putting their feelings above everything else in this world. In general, me, you, everybody. Your feelings, your personal feelings, aren't the most important thing. They're not. My feelings aren't the most important thing.
Well, look, I think you answered your own question, Tier One. His own personal feelings got him in this situation. His did they not? So why you saying like his own personal? You know what I'm saying?
It could be a situation for him to get in, and that's my whole argument. He didn't do anything wrong.
To you, he didn't do anything wrong because it affected people that are taking a knee for the national anthem or thinking about taking a knee. Most of they take a knee because of the racial injustice in this country. Most of the people that are taking a knee are people of color, black people. So if they're probably thinking about taking a knee and they're like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're saying that you don't respect me? You know what I'm saying? What if your teammate is the one that, so you're saying a person that you're going into the trenches with, a person, honestly, that's probably catching a football from you for you to rack up these stats, you know what I'm saying, become a Hall of Famer. You're telling me that if I decide to take a knee, you don't respect me? That's a big deal. You know, that's a big deal to people, especially if you're going into a locker room with these folks. I mean, it just is. He hurt those people's feelings, man, to a point where he had to apologize. Regardless, you know what I'm saying? Whether we want to agree with it or not, these are his teammates. These are the people that's going to ride with him. These are the people, if the Saints end up going to the Super Bowl, it's going to be because they contribute to this team. So he could, like you say, he didn't have to apologize. You're absolutely right about that. But it would have affected the way that team played going forward because
that's what I'm saying. He did have to apologize because if he didn't, he'd be done. He had no choice.
He had to apologize because it would have affected the team. It would have. And look, I mean, it's just what it is, Tier One. I'm sorry. Like I said, your opinion, you have a right to your opinion. You do. You know what I'm saying? Like you really do. I'm just telling you, like, how it made, you know what I'm saying, how it looked to a person that wasn't named Drew Brees, especially a person that's actually taking a knee.
Did it offend you? Did it offend you personally?
Did it offend me? No, because I'm one of the people that feel like what he had to say had absolutely nothing to do with what we're trying to push towards. The George Floyd situation happened in Minneapolis, and all these other injustices in this country had absolutely nothing to do with the flag. I never stepped foot on an NFL football field. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to fight for equality. You know what I'm saying? I do want to do my part, but I feel like it's just two different things. And me personally, I feel like if we probably weren't dealing with the George Floyd situation, nobody would have said anything to Drew Brees or said anything about it because he said this before. And you had like little whispers and stuff like that, but it wasn't to this particular magnitude. I just think that when you combine the anger of people and, you know what I'm saying, everything that's going on right now, it was just bad timing. And not to mention, ain't nothing else really going on in sports. So you know for a fact they're going to be covering this story right here without a shadow of a doubt. Now, maybe if there was the NBA Finals was going on around this time or something, or, Major League Baseball probably, you know what I'm saying, taking place, maybe, you know what I'm saying, it probably would have, just kind of just went by. But the fact that how everybody feeling right now in the climate that we're in, I mean, it just wasn't a good look. Anything that affects the New Orleans Saints, it's not a good look. If it's a team distraction, it's not.
Yeah, but that's where I go back to where people's feelings aren't the most important thing. I'm not going to name names, but you know who they are, TJ. You've literally had players in the NFL who beat their wives and children and didn't get this kind of backlash.
Yeah, I agree.
Drew Brees said something that hurts people's feelings, and oh my gosh, the world's going to end. I mean, people knocking out their wives, and these aren't, little 140-pound guys. These are 220-pound physical monsters.
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
these guys are beat.
Yeah, I
They're
agree
not,
with you. I agree with you on that,
beating
Tier
the
One.
hell out of their little kids.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, it's look. I understand. Look, I agree. There are hypocrisies in this world, and I also know that we live in a microwave society as well. You know what I'm saying? Like we 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 are just focused on the next news cycle, whatever. You know what I'm saying? The topic of discussion is we are just as outraged as we want to be during that particular time, and then eventually it'll probably go away. It's just the climate that we're in. You combine that with the frustration of society, and you look at his comments. I mean, they're amplified. So, like I said, I don't think people would have been as outraged about Drew Brees' comments because when he said it back, what was that, 2016, 2017 or something like that? He said this before. And it didn't really affect anything. You know, like people wasn't even really saying anything about it. It's just the climate that we're in. But like I said, man, Tier One, this was
that's fair. It might have been bad timing. I'll give you that.
yeah,
It was tone deaf. How about that?
yeah. I mean,
Tone deaf.
yeah. I look, like I said, I agree with what you're saying, man, to a certain extent. You know, like I said, but I respect the hell out of you for coming on the show and giving your opinion on that. And man, you can call back anytime, man. We have to have more discussions, about the Saints, and hopefully we won't have to, bring no politics type stuff into it, man. But Till One, I appreciate you for calling in, and
Love you guys.
yeah, man.
Love you, DJ.
I love you too,
Good.
Till One, man. You take care.
All
All right, all right,
right, bye.
yeah. Yeah, man. Tier One is a really great guy, man. Tier One always comments and always has something to say, and that's what it's all about, man. Just like Tier One called, he gave his opinion. I gave my opinion. That's what it's all about, man. That's what's gonna create change in this world. That is what's gonna create change in this world. Us having these conversations. So for all those people out there, man, that's like I said, just spreading that racist rhetoric and stuff like that, man, and just trying to get under the skin of people, that is not going to get us anywhere, man. We got to be able to come to the table and talk to each other and really discuss these issues. Because even like I was saying before, with Tier One, Tier One was talking about his grandparents and fighting in the war. I don't think any of my great grandparents or anything, but I had uncles that fought in the Korean War, Vietnam War. My brother did 3 tours in Iraq. So I was trying to get my brother to actually call on the show. I'm gonna try to see if I can actually text him. Maybe he can call in and just talk to him a little bit. Him give an account. My brother served 3 tours of Iraq. And I mean, I respect the military. I respect the soldiers, but I mean, once upon a time, African Americans got treated like garbage, man, in the military. They really did, man. They came back home. They didn't have anywhere to stay. They didn't get benefits. They couldn't get housing. If they were seen on the street, in most cases, if they were in uniform, they used to get beat, even killed. I mean, the narrative of stories about the military from the accounts of different cultures are different. So I mean, I want you to keep that in mind. 228, you're on the State of the Saints.
Hey, what's going on, TJ?
Hey, how you doing, man? What you got?
This Pendragon.
Hey, man, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Yes.
So, last time I called, I said what I said. I'm not going to repeat it because it's a waste of time, and everybody knows what I feel. What I'm going. Do I forgive Drew Brees? Personally, there's nothing to forgive. How I look at this situation is this. I'm looking at it from Michael Thomas, Carlos Kamara, Emmanuel Sanders, so on and so forth's point of view now. I've already looked at it from Drew Brees' point of view.
Right.
They have a right to feel offended, as to your point. I'm not taking that from them. I just don't appreciate or respect the way they went about it. Especially Michael Thomas. He's one of the most vocal. I think he's like the second most influential voice in that locker room. What he should have done is he should have took a step back, like Austin Carr did, like Teron Armstead did, and talked to Drew Brees personally before making an opinion. Much less, he should have looked into the whole article before commenting on social media, because that's what's getting him in trouble, and that also looks bad on the same team, on the locker room, etc. And it just keeps going on. Different opinions are fine. Enlightening is fine. You want to talk to Drew? Fine. Do them up to speed if you need to.
Right.
Because you don't want to put your own quarterback on blast just because his opinion is a little outdated. Like that's not good. That's not a good look on him. It's not a good look on you, your fellow teammates. Like when he did that, pretty much everyone knows in the locker room who felt the same way came forward. Especially Malcolm Jenkins. He was like the third most, I would say, behind Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Like you can't do that. You have to be able to maintain unity within your locker room, even if you're disagreeing on something, because people are going to use this. They're going to take the ball and run with it.
Right.
Undisputed with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless is my prime example right now. Every time they talk about the Saints, it's something controversial. They want to bring the Saints to a negative light. So what Michael Thomas and everybody did in that moment is they brought fuel to the fire. They brought ammunition to the guns of the media. And that's just, I can't agree with that. Now, can they improve on it going forward? Absolutely. I don't think this is going to mess them up long term. It's going to damage them, like, to some degree on a permanent level, but I don't think it's going to be as cause effective long term as people are probably thinking. Because what has been built since 2017 is a tighter culture, a tighter family. Right. And it's going to be very hard to break that, especially with Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis running things on that team.
Right. Well, I mean, you said a lot there, and I thank you so much for your comment. But I just want to say this. I agree to a certain extent. Like some things need to stay in house, but I do know that we live in a world today that people are very, very emotional about what's going on right now in this country, and the way that we normally do things, the conventional way, a lot of people aren't really buying into that right now. I think when Michael Thomas in the comments that that he put on social media was his emotions in real time. Even with Malcolm Jenkins, it was his emotions in real time. He ended up deleting the video that he put out. So a lot of guys were just upset in real time about what happened. And does it affect the chemistry of the team? Could it affect the chemistry? But yeah, I mean, yeah. Could they have called him up on the phone? Absolutely. But I just think that it was just a hurt that they possibly, felt at that time. Like, man, this been my guy, you know what I'm saying? This guy been rolling with me for years, you know what I'm saying? That, like, I do anything I can for him, and for him to not be on our side, I think it was just a huge letdown for them. But I mean, the media is gonna be the media. The media gonna always be able to talk. They gonna always like stir the pot and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't too much pay attention to it because even though when Shannon Sharp came on TV one day, he was like, Drew Brees need to go ahead and retire. But then the next day he said, I think they can probably get through it. They got good leaders in the locker room. So which one is it? So it's not always like the media is going to try to spin it in the way that they want to. It's up to the guys to actually know that this is a game that the liberal media and the sports media plays in order to try to get emotions out of people. So I don't think is it going to affect. I'd be lying, like I said, if I told you that this won't affect Drew Brees' reputation in the locker room some way. But I do think the Saints have enough leaders in the locker room, and I'm so thankful. It's unfortunate that it happened last season, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise that he went down because you actually seen the leaders in the locker room, like the Demario Davis and the Cam Jordan, step up, and the Teron Armsteads. You've seen these guys step up. So even though this has something to do with Drew Brees, they still have enough leaders in the locker room to keep everybody together. So that's the important thing about all this. And and the good thing is we saw it. We actually saw the team play the team played probably better than they played in years when Drew Brees wasn't even there. Those 5 games, I think you probably can say that's probably some of the best solid Saints football you've seen in a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys rallied around each other and they played for each other. So I think that they're going to be doing the same thing this season, man.
Well, yeah, like I mean, everything you said, 100%, I'm back to you on that. With that being said, you said talking about Michael Thomas, Dallas America, they were hurt in real time, and they use social media to avoid that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's within your right. I'm not going to take that from them because
Mm-hmm.
let's face it, who can?
Yeah, yeah,
True.
true,
They're going to do
true.
that. But with that being said, if they want to hold Drew Brees to a certain standard, if they want him to get caught up with what's going on, if they want him to use that voice in a way that helps the team and the community and the movement that they're trying to fight for, they need to hold themselves to that same standard. If you're going to try to enlighten people on what's going on in the black community, you cannot attack someone based on an opinion like that. If it was more offensive, I would have backed everybody on this.
Right.
But it wasn't as offensive, well, at least to me, it wasn't as offensive.
Right.
But either way, social media is a dangerous tool. You and I, and a handful of people already know this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, they fix the hook. The media took the bait of hook. Let's rephrase this. The media set the bait, Drew Brees bit, and everything else follows it. They got what they wanted.
Right.
But all that emotion, it didn't have to come out like that.
Right.
It didn't have to come out like that. Okay, you want to voice an emotion? Feel free. Don't be openly blasting your quarterback like that.
Right.
Because that's something that's gonna stay. It's gonna stay no matter how you slice it.
Right.
It's like
I agree.
keep the emotion check. Release it, but don't explode.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, look. I mean, you're absolutely right. I agree that some things need to be, kept in house. I really do. But thank you very much, man, for your comments. I appreciate it. Call back anytime.
All right, who that, TJ?
All right, who that? Yeah, man. I mean, some things do need to be kept in house. 404, you're on the State of the Saints. Sorry about that. I only can take one call at a time. I seen you calling a couple of times, but what you got, man?
Hey, it's all right. This is Justin Wallace. Chat. I commented a few times. You ready? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Coming up, I wanted to respond to Taylor One.
Yeah.
I'm a veteran. I'm an 8-year veteran.
Okay.
Okay. I did a tour in Iraq.
All right. All right. Thank you for your service, man. Thank you for your service.
No problem. I appreciate it. I just wanted to speak about what he was saying because what he's saying is why people are so offended.
Mm-hmm.
Because till this day, even while I was still serving, I did 8 years from 2004 to 2012. Mm-hmm. I still to this day get racially profiled by police to this day. They don't know that I'm prior service because I grew my hair, I have a beard now, so they don't know unless you have a uniform on.
Right.
Who you are.
Right.
They just see a black male because I'm African American.
Right.
And for him to say that is, I feel like it's hypocritical because the way I feel about the flag is totally different than the way he feels about the flag. And I'm a veteran. I put my life on the line in a different country for this country and to come back and be racially profiled. So when I see that flag, it doesn't mean the same as how he would see when he sees it, how he feels. And he said he has family members that serve. Well, I serve.
Right.
I have family members that serve too. So black people in this country has been fighting for this country in every single war that has happened in this country, even when they weren't even considered citizens of this country.
Right.
So when a lot of us look at that flag, we don't look at it the same way.
Yep.
It's a lot of hurt, pain, and frustration that comes with that flag.
Right.
So when people of color and people and white people too that are now starting to open their eyes, which I don't understand how it's taken so long for you to empathize with somebody else when they feel a certain way about something because we don't get that same feeling.
Right.
We don't get that same treatment.
Right.
So that's the whole point. That's why I feel like why people of color got offended.
Right.
So you can't look at something like you say let's say I like the color green and you may not like the color green as much. You want to say, well, it's okay. Well, I like the color red.
Right.
And I get offended if you don't like the color green because you don't see it the way I see it.
Right.
So it's a duality. You have to be empathetic to other people's opinion. It feels like a self entitlement type of opinion. Like, well, this is my country, this is my flag, and if you don't feel the same exact way I do, you're not patriotic or un-American. There's nothing more patriotic and American than the African American male and female, because we've been in this country the same amount of times they've been in this country and been in all the wars they've been in. There's black people represent probably 10 to 13% of the population in America, and yet we represent at least almost 40% of the military.
Right.
So for people to say that, it's unpatriotic and they don't feel like he said anything wrong, he said a lot of stuff wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way and nobody's saying that. I don't know. Well, I feel like the majority of people we know. I'm from New Orleans. We're diehard Saints fans.
Yep.
We know before Katrina, we know about the ink, the paper bags and all that. How we talk about this team.
Yep.
And we still was rocking. I still was rocking with the team.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm not a post Katrina fan.
Yeah.
I'm born and bred Saints fan.
All right.
So I just don't understand how other people you can have your opinion and that's fine, but how you can't empathize and understand it.
Right.
That's the problem. That's what the backlash I believe comes from, is the lack of empathy and understanding. I mean, what do you have to do do you have to flip and walk in our shoes and have your ancestors been put through slavery for 400 years, come out of that, fighting every war, come out of that, go through Jim Crow, come out of that, go through the civil rights movement, come out of that, and we're still here.
Right.
And we're still fighting for the same thing.
Right.
Maybe if they went through that, they would understand it more. The flag wouldn't look as red, white, and blue to them as it looks to us.
Right.
And that's all I want to say. I know that's probably a little long-winded.
Man, look, like I said, this is the show right here. I just want people to get their point across, man. Like I don't mind sitting back and listening to people. Man, you're making some very good points.
Yeah.
This show is for you all. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, giving us, the history lesson also from a military perspective, man, because I think I think in these type of situations, my brother, y'all carry a lot of cachet because you were actually on the front lines. You were in the military. You served. So a lot of people who I feel like are giving their opinion probably, they never walked in the sands of Iraq. You know what I'm saying? They didn't go through the basic training, the 6 weeks or, basic training that you all have done. And you know what I'm saying? Like, so you have a different perspective and I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate you taking the time out to call the show, to give us this perspective, man. And I hope somebody in the chat you touch, man, because I know you touched me by some of the things that you said. And, like I said, we're not going to always agree, on things. Our ideas and our views of what this country is are different, because we actually heard the horror stories. I've heard my grandparents talk about some of the things that they endured growing up in Mississippi, you know what I'm saying, in the Delta of Mississippi. So I get it, man. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much, brother. And thank you once again for your service.
No problem.
All right, take care. All right. Yeah, man, that's a great perspective, man. Somebody, that was in the military, somebody that actually served. And like I said, I wish I'm gonna try like to get my brother who served 3 tours of Iraq. I'm going to get him to be on the show. I'm probably going to do that live tomorrow. I'm gonna talk to him. Hopefully, he can probably take a few minutes. I tried to text him tonight. I didn't get a response. He's probably busy, but I'm gonna try to get him on the show. Probably to get him to talk a little bit about that. Look, I'm sorry, folks. Look, I know, this is the state of the Saints. I understand that this is a sports show. I understand we focus on the Saints. But once again, man, you cannot ignore what is going on in this country. You cannot ignore what is trying to transpire and what is transpiring in this country, ever since the tragic death of George Floyd on Memorial Day. So for all those out there that served, I see Kelly. Kelly has chimed in. I served, so thank you very much, Kelly, for serving. Dedicating your service. Thank you so much. I'm gonna take one more call for the night. This is 504. 504. You're on the State of the Saints.
TJ, my guy, how you doing, bro? I love what you're doing, bro.
Hey, man. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for calling.
Hey, man, it's Daryl Hatcher, bro. I've been watching you, bro, since you had like about, I don't know how many followers, bro. I love what you're doing, bro, but this Drew Brees thing, man, come on now. We all mess up, right? We all make mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, we all been kids. We bumped our heads. You know what I'm saying?
I got you, man.
So to me, it's like, you know what I'm saying? You could say I'm blue, I'm green, or whatever, but I feel like there's still a way from some man, you know what I'm saying, not to know. You know,
right.
I'm about to be 43, bro.
Okay,
you
man.
Yeah. I'm a boy, dude. You know where I'm coming from. I'm from right across the track from you.
Man,
you know
okay.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
You know, with me living these years, you know what I'm saying? I'm from New Orleans, A-ball cat, you know, living in Houston. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? And I have 10 plus years in Houston. You know what I'm saying? Bro, we all bump our heads.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for us to go out the window on this cat.
Yeah.
Even though I do feel some type of way about it.
Right.
But
so,
I do, me being the man that I am before the G-old black man, I've been almost 50 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we do have to have some type of remorse in our heart and let people learn. We all grow. We grow every day, my dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we gonna grow, bro. We gonna learn. And you know what I'm saying? Even if you don't feel the same way that I feel, you know what I'm saying? But bro, the world is changing.
Yep.
We gonna make a difference. You know what I'm saying? What I'm doing, even though I don't agree with everything that's going on right now.
Right.
But we are making. There's something changing. So you gotta feel good about it. You gotta feel good about
man.
What's going on right now.
I definitely feel good, my brother. I definitely feel good.
We gotta feel bad too. For us being a TJ, you know what I'm talking about. You heard me? You know what I'm saying? We gotta feel some type of bad way about it too. But something is changing, so we gotta feel good about it. With the bad. We gonna take the good with the bad.
Yep. You gotta take the good. You gotta take the good with the bad. I think a lot of people, like I said, I just think that they were just taken back by Drew Brees' comments. I'm glad people like you able to forgive him for his comments, and like I said, I'm just look. I just know, like me personally, and I'm not even just saying that because I'm a Saints fan. I just feel like it'll be hypocritical of me, a person that has made mistakes, that has broken a person's heart, has disappointed people in certain ways. I feel like that would be hypocritical of me to be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I'll never forgive him for that. And especially if I know, deep down inside, I don't think that he a racist. Now, if I thought that Drew Brees was a racist, you know what I'm saying, then we'll probably have a different story to tell. But I just feel like, like you said, it's a growing process, man. We ain't always been what we are today. And I'm pretty sure you can vouch for it, man, especially you talking about you staying, over the tracks from me. You know about, some of the things that had to be going on right then and there. You know what I'm saying? The things you had to rise above. So, yeah, so you already know, man.
And I got a couple years on you, bro. But so there's, you know what I'm saying, coming up in our era, bro, we took stuff every day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Coming up in our era, I'm gonna be honest. In our era, there was this white guy that came in our school. There was only one or two back then. Back in the 90s and 80s. And they were picked on, they had something, you know what I'm saying? But the change started with us as well, my brother.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The change started with us.
Yeah, it does,
and I
man.
watch several Saints podcasts. I'm not trying to get off here. I rock with you. I rock with you. I watch every video.
I appreciate that, man.
I watch the other podcasts, and I'd like to see. I'm not going to put nothing out on your, but I think it'll be awesome. You know what I'm saying? We talking about coming together. I think it'd be nice for a sports coma and a Deuce Wyndham, and you know what I'm saying? And you as well to come together.
Right.
It starts with us as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not about no beef stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's the love of the Saints, right?
Right.
And it's a love for all of us. You
right.
know what I'm saying? I don't see no color. I love everybody, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I love everybody too. I love everybody too, man. Like I don't have any animosity towards anybody. I got a lot of respect for Deuce Wyndham. I mean, I listened to his live show, the most recent one he did. he could easily, like, somebody that has almost 10,000 subscribers. I mean, this guy has sponsors. I mean, this guy's had all that going on, but he still finds time to talk about some of the injustices. And he been out there to a few protests, which I respect the hell out of. So, like,
And you know what I see
that's what
about that
that's what
shit,
it's
Jay?
all about. It's
You know
about.
what I see about that?
And what's
He's
that?
no better than you.
Man.
You are good. You doing your thing, man. I remember watching you do when you had like 10 followers or 20 followers or 100 followers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Bird, you are awesome at what you're doing.
And I appreciate that,
You
man.
are really good, man. I watch your videos when you at work, man.
I,
Bro. Don't stop.
I
Don't
won't,
stop,
man.
you heard me?
I won't.
You know what I'm saying?
I won't, man.
Don't stop doing what you're doing, man.
Nah.
I'm out here. I see you out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody, bro. You got plenty of people that love you, bro.
Man, I appreciate
Don't
that,
stop
man.
doing what you're doing, bro.
I won't,
Don't
man.
stop. I'm going to be mad.
I won't, man.
Don't make me pull up in Carolina, you heard me?
Nah, man, you ain't gotta pull up, man. But thank you so much, man. I appreciate the words of.
I love what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
So my thing is, bro, you know what I'm saying? Just if you want to be forgiven.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said,
just open up your heart, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just we all make mistakes, man.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people gonna be mad at me.
I doubt.
You know what I'm saying? Just open up your heart, bro. He can learn as well.
Yeah.
And I don't like his comment.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I mean,
but we all mess up.
Hey, I mean, yeah, it's all a growing process, man. But thank you so much for the call. Call back anytime, brother.
Every day. Thank you, bro. I love you, man.
All right, love you too, man. Take care, man. Thank you.
Everything that you do.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, man. Shoot. Thank you, man. I appreciate the words of encouragement. I appreciate just everything, man. And I just love doing the show. I love it. I love doing the show, and you all make this show what it is. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about a bunch of numbers or anything like that. You all make this show what it is. 515, you're on the State of the Saints.
Hey, TJ, this is a fan of the Orange. This is Josh and Jesus. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm glad you got through. I was looking at your comment. Yeah, I only can take one call at a time, but I definitely was going to ask you to call in. Thank you so much, man.
I asked you that because you said that last call was going to be your last call, so I was like, hey, man.
Yeah, I always got time for Josh, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you were like one of the regulars, man. And when I did have the phone, I heard you call, a couple of times. So, thank you, man, so much. I appreciate you calling in. So what do you want to talk about?
Okay, so I have a little bit different of a perspective to offer here because, like, I'm a white boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I know what it is to be discriminated against because, like, before I got myself together, I was, like, homeless in the streets on and off for a long time.
Right.
I'm not comparing being black to being homeless, but I'm telling you there's a lot of parallels with how, like, society treats you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been to motels that don't have a single car in the driveway just for the motel owner to tell me that all their rooms are full. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've walked into restaurants with now hiring signs that all over their windows just for them to tell me when they noticed that I was homeless that they're not hiring. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I've been beat up for being homeless. I've been through all that kind of stuff that, like, a lot of black people would go through for being black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I felt like discrimination a lot more than, like, I guess you could say most white boys would. Not that I understand exactly what it is to be black, but you see what I'm saying, though.
I got you, man.
Yeah. And plus, I grew up in Milwaukee, and I mean, I've been beat up just for being white too, even before I was homeless and all that. So I mean, like, I've had all perspective. That said, this is my perspective on Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
What Drew said was wrong. But I don't think it was wrong enough for people to turn on him the way they are. Because at the end of the day, Drew has done more for, like, the black community and the New Orleans community in general than 90% of the people that are saying fuck Brees right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, so he's a man who's already proven his character. I agree with what he said was wrong. Because as far as Colin Kaepernick goes, I generally vote Republican, but I never agreed with my fellow Republicans about Colin Kaepernick. I never felt like Kaepernick was doing anything wrong.
Right.
He was doing a peaceful protest. I could never understand why a bunch of people who were just sitting on the couch eating potato chips themselves during the national anthem have a problem with someone else not standing for the national anthem. You know what I mean?
Good point.
Like
Good point.
yeah, these football fans that were mad at Colin Kaepernick, they weren't standing at attention for the national anthem while they were watching TV. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were like getting a beer while the national anthem was playing. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So why they be mad at Kaepernick? I could never understand that. But the thing is that Drew Brees needed a little bit of pushback for what he got, but I just think it's gone way too far, man. Like, Drew is no racist. He ain't never been no racist. And to say screw Brees like nothing he's ever done for New Orleans, suddenly nothing he's ever done for New Orleans matters.
Right.
F Brees this, F Brees that. That's not cool, man. So that's my perspective on that. And this is coming from a guy who knows what it's like to feel discrimination. You know what I mean? I thought you would enjoy my perspective on that.
Man, thank you so much, Josh, for sharing your story. You know, man, and honestly, you know, just you're talking, you know, I can tell it's the testament of you overcoming things. And you know, I agree with you. You know, I agree with you. You know, when it comes to, you know, people like giving Drew Brees such a hard time. I said it earlier. I don't know if you were listening, but I just think that's a combination of already recent animosity towards Drew Brees that people have been having in the Who That Nation. It's been some whispers, man. You know, and you combine that with what he did. I just feel like it's giving those people justification to talk about him. What he did, you know, I'm not gonna lie, Josh. It hurt a lot of people. It hurt a lot of people. It affected a lot of people, and I think that the reason why, I mean, come on, man, we live in the same world. Anything that's in front of people's eyes right now is the most outrageous thing that ever is going on in this world. So, you know, if Drew Brees would have said this, let's just say while COVID-19 was going on, right? Like before George Floyd, you know, was murdered. Before that happened. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Nobody probably would have said anything about it because he said his stance a couple years ago. You had whispers, but it wasn't to this extent. It's just the fact that everybody just on edge right now, and it was just bad timing. It was just the timing of it all. I think that's the reason why people just got upset. But we all know that we live in a world of second chances, a land of second chances. And honestly, we also live in a world of amnesia in certain cases. And I just think when Drew Brees throw for 3 or 4 touchdowns in a game, people gonna be forgot about everything that they felt about him. You know, even Marcus Davenport even said that. Marcus Davenport said that he was like, what you gonna do? He's like, the same people that's out here. What y'all gonna do when he start throwing touchdowns or whatever? So it just
will eventually like get past this?
Absolutely. This isn't like. I do feel like he should have been held accountable. I do feel like this was a teachable lesson, Josh. But I am smart enough to know that we live in a world where people are going to forget about this. They are. But hopefully, you know what I'm saying, like I said, hopefully, you know, Drew Brees learned how that made people feel. And, you know, we can just move on from it. But I totally agree with you. It shouldn't be a point where people nailing him to the cross because it's not that. It's not that serious, man. It's not that serious to a point where people just need to turn their back on him.
No, this isn't like a Hulk Hogan situation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what exactly how I feel. I feel like Drew Brees deserves a little bit of pushback and anger, no question. But all that Drew Brees is canceled crap. That's
no. Not with the cancel stuff. Like I said, I just felt like that was just an excuse for people that had problems with Drew Brees. I don't know if it's the playoff, the playoff games he's been in, people haven't been really excited about that, or just the fact that they feel like he needs to retire. I've seen that, but I just think that people are hiding behind this because they felt this way the whole time about Drew Brees. Not everybody, but there are a few people that have been using this, just to try to vent their frustrations of how they felt over the past couple years. But you got anything else, Josh?
No, man. Thanks for taking this call, man. And I'm going to keep supporting the show, brother.
All right. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Take care. Yeah, man. That's Josh and Jesus, man. That's somebody that supports, donates. Man, he's always in the chat. And, man, and that's powerful stuff right there, man. Man. Thank you so much for sharing your story, man. That's what it's all about, man. Sharing our story. sharing our story and, hopefully growing from it. And I hope, man, tonight that we learned something. I hope tonight, it just wasn't about I feel this way, you feel that way. I know this was about, forgiving Drew Brees, but hopefully we had a few callers. Hopefully we can actually respect people's perspective, even if we come away from this show not agreeing with one another about, how we felt about Drew Brees. At the end of the day, we all want the Saints to go to the Super Bowl. We all want the Saints to win it all. We all want the Saints to win a division. That is what we want. So the way I look at it, I'm just looking forward to the 2020 season, man. And we can get back to like talking about some of these storylines, man, about Alvin Kamara's contract and who the Saints gonna end up signing, who gonna end up leaving the Saints. Is this Drew Brees' last year? Will Drew Brees be able to play all 16 games? Will we see some Jameis Winston? How will Taysom Hill's role? Will he develop? Or will he, be doing the same thing he did last year? How some of these rookies are going to perform, dealing with, all these virtual practices, can't interact with these veterans. Is Michael Thomas going to be able to, take it to an even higher level? Is Emmanuel Sanders going to be able to contribute? Is Emmanuel Butler finally going to see the field? Is Traquan Smith going to step it up? Is Sean Payton going to run the football? There are so many different storylines we can talk about with the New Orleans Saints. Hopefully, like I said, we can just kind of just move past this. I'm not going to say that this is the last time we're going to be addressing like social issues if they arise and they deal with the New Orleans Saints. I am not saying that, but hopefully, we can actually learn from this and hopefully, we can grow. But I don't want this to be, a division, with the Who Dat Nation. I don't want this to divide us. I don't want this to destroy us as a Who Dat Nation, man. So for all those that called in tonight, thank y'all so much. All those that are in the chat that have been holding it down, thank you very much. All the encouraging words to the show, thank you all. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, and also the State of the Saints podcast will be available on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I know a lot of people, you're on the go, you're probably jogging, you're probably working out, trying to get your swole on, you know what I'm saying? You might not be able to look at the videos. And I know sometimes, unless you're with YouTube Premium, you can't close your phone. So you can listen to the State of the Saints podcast on the podcast version on those different outlets. You'll be able to hear all the recent episodes. If you have Alexa in your home, you can just say, Alexa, I want to hear the State of the Saints podcast, or play the State of the Saints podcast, and it will give you the most recent episodes. So thank you all very much for your love and your support. And until next time, all I got to say is, who dat?